so I'm a gnome sat in a cart next to a giant watermelon. What of it? Holla ballers! What's going on? It's Rogue Assassination Day! Yes, it is. We're running out of guides to do, which is pretty cool, actually. We've managed to get through most of them. Feeling good, feeling good. We're going to get through them before Mr. Pandaria pretty easily. Get you guys all prepared up for what the hell those changes are. Some of you are on the PTR and saying, what do you think about Assassination? So we're going to do Assassination. Why the hell not? Let's jump into it. Come back to me, UI. I need you. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Yo, Rogie. My little gnome rogue. He's so lovely. I absolutely adore him. Yeah. Okay, Assassination. I'm not going to do much on the talents because I covered most of it in combat, especially the changes to Fan of Knives, getting combo points, all that kind of stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about the changes to this stuff. We've still got Mutilate, attacking with your daggers. You're going to be using your daggers with your Assassination Rogue as normal. We've still got Envenom, which increases the poison damage done while the Envenom buff is up. Thank God that Eviscerate isn't even a choice for the Assassination Rogues. There's nothing sadder than seeing a rogue in a dungeon who's Assassination using Eviscerate. Dude, that's not cool. Venomous Wounds. Rupture does terrible, terrible damage. Yes, it does. But Venomous Wounds, every time we're rupturing and garroting things, we have a 75% chance to deal some nature damage and to regain 10 energy. Yes, yes, yes. They are important things. I'm a noob in the gameplay I did for you. I'm a noob. I didn't garrot anything. So before you rage at me, I did not do that because I'm a noob. Just a massive noob sometimes. And Vendetta marks an enemy for death, increasing all damage you deal to the target by 30% and granting you unerring vision of your target, regardless of concealment such as stealth or invisibility. So you get all the usual basics that we've got in Cataclysm. There wasn't a great deal of changes to Assassination, but did they need to change it? No, not really. Assassination was in a really good place. So we're going to talk a little bit about what came passively with it. You still got all your normal stuff. Very cool. You still got Ambush. Useless. We're going to be using Garrot. Dismantle. All the usual stuff's there. This was one of the changes I didn't like. Dispatch. It's not that I didn't like the ability. I just miss Backstab. Backstab is so roguey. We're backstabbing people. We're thieves of the night. We're shrouded in mystery and shadow. And we like to backstab people. But they changed it to Dispatch. Which is cool because it has no positional requirement like Backstab suggests, okay? So it costs 30 energy. A vicious strike that exploits the vulnerability of foes with less than 35% health remaining, causing 350% weapon damage plus 1,483 to the main target, requires daggers in the main hand, and gives you a combo point. It replaces Sinister Strike. So, it's actually very, very cool. I don't like it's called Dispatch, but considering it's not from the back, I understand why it's not called Backstab. I get it, Blizz, we understand, but we miss Backstab. We miss the word Backstab. You still get everything else. It's the passives I wanted to talk to you about. Just a quick reminder of how your poisons work now. They're a little bit like weapon enchants. You don't need to carry anything. You can see in my bags, no poisons at all. You come here and you click them. So I want Deadly Poison. It just applies it and you've got it for an hour. Ching! 1 hour. And you get a offensive poison and a defensive poison, such as Leeching Poison. I click Leeching Poison from my spellbook and boom, I have a Leeching Poison buff. So you have 2 poisons, 1 offensive, 1 defensive. Okay? Very simple stuff, nothing to worry about. It's cool actually, you get some free bag space. Nothing wrong with that at all. So the passives, let's go into those. Those are the cool things about it. Assassinations revolve. While dealing daggers, you get an extra 20 energy. Awesome. Blindside, performing a successful mutilate has a 30% chance of leaving you in an advantageous position, enabling a single use of dispatch. So you get a proc to watch now as Assassination. This is cool. We get a nice little proc to be watching and looking for. It comes up like Colossus Smash for a warrior. I'm not going to try and proc one because it's actually a little bit of a pain in the ass to get. It's only a 30% chance per mutilate. That seems a lot. It's not. In gameplay, it wasn't all that much. It really wasn't. Cut to the chase still exists, so when we envenom, we instantly refresh our slice and dice. Cool. As if it was a 5-point combo point. Slice and dice, so we can just keep slicing dice up indefinitely. Very awesome. Fleet-footed and detect traps are still there. Improved poisons. Now, this is where I want to bring up the main crux of what I want to talk about, is that poisons are just insane damage for Assassination. Crazy, crazy damage. Let me just bring up this SCADA for a moment. I kept this up. My damage in the dungeons was more than fine. I mean, really, really pretty cool. What I wanted to demonstrate is how powerful poisons are. Look at Deadly Poison. 41% of my damage is Poison. Deadly poison. There's no such thing as instant poison anymore. Your deadly poison stacks to just applies like a debuff on the target, and then it just keeps applying a poison attack. So you just have deadly poison. Look how much damage that is. 41% of my total damage is poison. And this was continuous throughout all the dungeon. What I did is I just left this open to really stress to you guys how important your poisons are. So really, do not forget to apply your deadly poison. You will be in a bad situation. You really, really will be. So just keep an eye out on that SCADA. I just wanted to make the point there. Look how much higher that stuff is. Regarding rupture and venomous wounds, you can see there's rupture on there. That was 1.4% of my damage was actually the bleed, but 3% of the damage was actually the venomous wounds buff. That would have been higher if I used Garrot, but again, I was a total noob. Master Poison, this is all stuff that is increasing spell damage taken by your 5% for anything you have poisoned. So one Fan of Knives essentially is going to give everything the spell damage debuff. Very, very cool. Improved Poisons give you a 20% extra chance. 20% increases the application chance of deadly poison and wound poison by 20%. That's what I'm trying to say. My voice is just crackers today. And then your mastery is increasing poison damage even more. Very, very cool. And you can see how much damage that actually is. The other passives were Prey on the Weak. When you disable an enemy with Kidney Shot, Cheap Shot, Gouge, Sap, or Blind, they suffer 10% increased damage from all sources for the duration of the effect. Very cool. We had a really bad tank in both dungeons who was on a coffee break between packs. So I was cheap shotting and all sorts of crazy stuff to keep things going. And it really helped the group along. Relentless Strikes. Your finishing moves have a 20% chance per combo point to restore 25 energy. Cool. 100% obviously with 5 combo points. I played like it was Cataclysm before we go into the gameplay. I did 4 and 5 point Envenoms to avoid wasting combo points. Seal Fate is still there. When you critically strike with a single target attack that generates combo points, you gain an additional one. So you get 2 if you crit. Very cool. Swiftblade's Cunning is our big buff. Increased melee and ranged haste above all party and raid members by 10%. That is just a passive. It's just there. And of course, Venomous Wounds. I'm going to jump into the gameplay now. That is all the major changes. Oh, let me talk about these glyphs. When you're doing your leveling, you'll obviously have the Glyph of Deadly Momentum. If you haven't seen the best leveling specs video I've done, go and check that, and I talk about this glyph in more detail. But in your dungeons, it's even better. It really is, especially if you've got sort of a slacky healer and slacky tank. Having this glyph allows every time you're killing mobs in your dungeons, you're AoEing them down, you're DPSing them down, it's going to refresh your Slice and Dice and Recuperate as well. So your Slice and Dice and Recuperate are just generally up a hell of a lot of the time anyway, and that really is going to help you out over the long duration of a dungeon. Very, very awesome. I imagine if you're playing sub, especially where Recuperate is extra beneficial, you're going to really get some good stuff out of having Glyph of Deadly Momentum while you're leveling and while you're doing some big dungeons. Shadow Blades. This is going to be a level 87 ability. I kind of wanted to level to get this because although we have Vendetta, it didn't feel like I had enough to do in between my normal stuff. I felt like we needed some other ability, and that ability is going to be Shadow Blades. I haven't had a chance to try it out. Apparently it ignores armor, it does pure shadow damage, it's pretty cool. I definitely want that. I think rogues need that, especially the Assassination spec. It's not too bad with combat because we've got various other abilities. We've got Adrenaline Rush, we've got Killing Spree, that's all very cool. With Assassination, we've just got Vendetta on a 2-minute cooldown. It felt like I needed something else to keep my eye on the ball. Dispatch procs are pretty cool, but Shadow Blade's definitely something I'm looking forward to trying out. The talents I'm going to roll with, which I still think are pretty cool, Shadow Focus. Abilities no longer cost energy while you are stealth, so your Garrot that I should have been using, I was generally using Mutilate, will be free, so you got a full energy bar when you come out. Combat Readiness, this actually came in pretty handy in most of my dungeons. Like I say, I was essentially tanking a hell of a lot of it. Combat Readiness was really cool, and if the tank dies and it comes to you, that is all good, because you can use Combat Readiness and then vanish away, just buying your raid a little bit of time to get that combat res off. Leeching Poison, I'm still a huge fan of this, although Elusiveness is apparently also coming in extra handy for specific raid abilities. But Leeching Poison overall really is just so much extra healing coming onto you. Shadow Step is fantastic. I was Shadow Stepping all the time in my gameplay. I found it so handy to move between mob to mob to mob, especially when something had been left behind or anything like that. I could just Shadow Step over it while Sprint was on cooldown. Mixing the two together, you're almost always in melee range. Fantastic. And of course, Prey in the Weak, which we just spoke about, very, very handy. Like I say, let's jump into some gameplay and let's show everything off. Let's get straight into it. No fucking around on our rogue. First thing I wanted to show you is that you can see the proc there. That's your proc for dispatch. There we say you can see it proc pretty regular. It is me in the comments saying, hey, it doesn't proc that often. It actually doesn't. I just got a little bit lucky, so I thought I'd show you it so you get an idea of what the graphic's going to look like. Oh, it procs again. Egg on your face, preacher man. But the main strengths that I wanted to get out is Assassination's poison and single target. Absolute destruction. There's this weird period with the Assassination rogue where AoE is really good when we've got lots of mobs. Because our main DPS source is, of course, poisons. Poison, poison, poison. That's where I switched up the damage meter to this fight. So we've got all this poison damage that we really need to get out. And it obviously needs to spread its wings. Now, of course, poisons being individually affecting various mobs means that we can AoE indefinite amounts of mobs without actually struggling or being damage capped. It's a brilliant little trick of the rogues, and they really benefit from it. But it's when we get to 2 or 3 mobs that things get a little bit tricky. What you're aiming to do realistically is try and get various ruptures up all the time. Getting those ruptures up, getting all the venomous wounds, getting some energy back, and then you can start doing some serious multi-dot damage. The problem is that takes a little while to build up, and that's where the sort of downside of the Assassination rogue falls into place, where you can suffer a little bit, especially in a 5-man heroic where mobs tend not to last a long time. You'll have 3 mobs and you're going to be like, do I fan of knives this? Do I just go straight up single target? It's going to remain the same as Cataclysm. That's the main thing I want to get out for you, okay? If you're getting 2 or 3 mobs, you're going straight out single, balls to the wall, DPS on those mobs, and then you're going to switch it up. Maybe get up to a rupture if you can, and then go ahead and switch over to it. I wanted to show this clip here. As you can see, I absolutely balled it up, got myself some evasion going, some combat readiness, then vanished it away and came back straight into the action. Ooh, you daddy! Switching targets in between. This was a really fun fight, by the way. This boss, Strife and Anger, I believe they're called, is all about switching targets. This is why I don't use Rupture. Once they get their shield up, then essentially you're not going to be able to do any DPS. It becomes completely immune. It won't do anything at all. So I was just showing you target switching, using a little bit of redirect, mixing all that in. And the huge strength of the Assassination rogue in doing some target switching. It's a very, very nice opportunity. With the change to Deadly Poison, without having it stack up to 5 and all that kind of stuff, we're in no real danger of suffering on target switching. It's a very nice little technique. You see, I was the only one in the whole dungeon who knew, hey, you know that mob's immune, and when you're attacking it, you're actually causing damage to everybody else. You know, what you should do is just leave it alone. No, the rest of the guys wailing away, not seem to notice that the mob says 0 damage being taken. Boom! Preacher straight back in, kicking some ass and taking some names. Going straight into this execute phase. Look how easy we execute now. The backstab phase that we used to have in Cataclysm always felt a little bit weak to me. It was okay once you got into the rhythm, but the first backstab always took a little bit long to get off, and then we started getting the energy back and we started getting the crits in, and it was okay after a little while. Dispatch is just straight in, straight firing, boom, 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 one after the other, chaining them like there is no tomorrow. It's a really solid execute phase, and a nice thing for the rogues to have is a really nice execute phase. I showed you some clips of some little AoE going on here. Again, just showing the damage meter on where our damage source is. It's not fan of knives itself. It's nothing like that whatsoever. It's all about the poison. The poison is doing everything. Really so key. We're going to see some big mastery builds coming from the rogues, because poisons is just so predominantly further ahead than the rest of our damage. I also wanted to show you here that the combo point generation is still working with fan of knives. You can see the combo points starting to generate on there, and we can make a decision then. What the hell do we do with it? Do we use a Crimson Tempest? I threw out a Crimson Tempest because I wanted to show you guys some Crimson Tempest damage. Remember, although Crimson Tempest just does leave a dot, it's not immense. It really isn't. It's not like, oh, this is another huge bleed on absolutely everything else. It really is not. But this is also another demonstration of how that Glyph of Deadly Momentum in your 5-mans is going to do tremendous benefits to you. You can see Slice and Dice is being refreshed on a pretty regular basis there. And just by the fact that I'm killing mobs, I'm not having to throw out too many Envenoms to keep that bad boy rolling. Occasionally I will throw out an Envenom just to make sure that I keep Slice and Dice rocking and rolling, get all those poisons proccing on my main target, because that is such an important feature of Rogue AoE, is to keep prolonging every little bit of damage you can. Your auto attacks really, really matter. They're proccing so many more poisons. They're really giving you a good run for your money. But you can see the AoE all based off the poison again. all based off the poison again. So the last boss I wanted to show you here was this dude. Now he's a straight up single target fight, which means that I can show you everything that's rocking and rolling with this guy. Again, you can see I did not start with a garrote, but you can see I got a nice early proc of a dispatch. Throw that in. Remember that dispatch is actually free. So when you fire it off, you'll actually find that you can go straight into another mutilate or another finisher, get all that good stuff coming. We get the rupture rocking and rolling. And we're in pretty good shape with this boss. I actually destroyed the DPS on this boss. I really did. Yeah, I did use a potion, but what the hell, man? I've got access to it. I'm going to bloody use it, you know? I didn't flask up like a scrub-a-dub. But overall, it was pretty cool. I used various different things here to move around. I'm using sprint. I'm getting back into DPS range using sprint, and then I can throw in some shadow steps when he knocks me back again. Just showing you that being out of melee range is not the end of the world. You see there, I can throw in a shadow step. Should have been a little bit quicker, but still getting used to having shadow step on my bar as an assassination rogue. Never out of melee range for more than a couple of seconds, whereas other people are going to be sort of trotting their way back. Not a weakness of the Assassination Rogue anymore, mixing in Shadow Step and Sprint. You've got both of these mobility cooldowns to use. Very short cooldowns, don't cost you anything, you can get back in there. Throwing out a tricks like a baller should. Getting the tricks, redirecting it back onto the tank, and making sure we can see the DPS. And here you can see the advantage of our dispatch being non-position based. There's the Assassination Rogue, guys. Have a great day.